I've got a baby right outside the door that's trying to get in. It's like a horror movie.
That's not, yeah, I was going to say, that sounds like a nightmare.
It can be. It definitely can be.
Who is your daddy? I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
Hi guys, this is Fathers of the Grind, episode 177, I think? Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I'm not the main host, so Tim, take it away.
Boy, first of all, thanks for amping up the audience, Daniel. Well done.
Woo!
Yeah, really, really good job.
Woo!
Have you seen that commercial where the guy is trying to get his State Farm? Maybe I don't know. You don't watch football, so maybe you don't really. Do you watch football?
What's that? You're talking about football, or?
Yes, no, not football. Football.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
And anyway, there's a State Farm commercial where this guy's trying to get his insurance bonus by driving safely because the app tracks everything. And there's some absolute D-bag who pulls up in the sports car beside him, and he's like, "You want to go? You want to go? Whoa!" He just keeps like yelling at him.
And he just doesn't bite.
And the guy's like, "I just want to keep my safe driving thing." And the guy's like, "Whoa!"
What a nerd.
Yeah.
What a dweeb.
Yeah, I like it.
That's good.
All right, let me find. So we are here to talk about mostly Gears 5, I think, although we're going to have to rely on our currently missing compatriot Derek for a lot of that.
Yeah.
I do want to get his thoughts on it. I am 100% planning on playing it, but here's the catch for me. I sadly discovered this week I actually don't have Game Pass Ultimate. I thought I did. I just have Game Pass, and I got some sort of deal where I got Game Pass for like a full year or whatever, which is great. Which means I'll get to play it on the 10th, I think, so on Tuesday. So I'll get to play it soon. I'm not like most cool people around here who have gotten to play. A lot of them have finished it already.
Sure.
So it's totally fine. We'll talk more about Gears 5 here shortly. But until then, we can talk about other stuff we're playing before Derek gets here to tell us that our game choices are stupid.
Sure.
And ridiculous. And we also do have the Nintendo Direct that I wanted to talk about a little bit too. Some people liked it, some people hated it. A lot of folks were somewhere in between. I thought it was pretty interesting. It kind of felt like to me, it kind of almost felt like an E3 Direct. There was just a ton of news. I mean, whether there was news that you care about or not, whatever, but there was a lot there. So we will go through that as well. But first, and of course, most important, Daniel, what are you playing?
We can wait for Derek because the two things I was going to say are indie games. So if you want to just wait,
We really should. Tell you what, let's just sit in awkward silence.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I want you to put just some elevator music in this section.
You got it. Here we go.
And we just stare at each other. Dun 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 dun.
I'm going to slowly fade out of screen and for a while. So what are you playing? Let's hear about it. That way you can get through it without being insulted. So how about that? You might enjoy it.
I finished Control.
Okay.
I know that you liked the ending. You thought it made a lot of sense, so that's cool.
All right, you guys talked about Control last week while I was out. I listened through your guys' thoughts on it, of course, because I had to post it and I had to listen through it anyway. So why not? And I liked everything you guys were saying about it, and I agree because I have finished that game. And overall, it's really good. It certainly has a place in my favorite games of the year because it's so unique. The gameplay, you could argue, isn't the most unique, but I think it's got a pretty unique blend of third-person shooter and the kind of telekinetic powers that you get. And so I thought it was pretty cool, and the story is wacky and out there, and they are certainly setting up a whole bunch of lore, either for some more in-depth DLC or, who knows, maybe another sequel. But they're not really known for doing sequels for their games. They tie them together loosely, but they're not really direct sequels to their stuff, right?
They've gone multi-platform again, so who knows? Who knows what they want to do now?
Right.
So,
but all that to say, it is pretty wacky. I won't give anything away. Not that I could if I wanted to, but overall I liked it, and I agreed with your guys' assessment that this is definitely worth your time and money. There's a lot to do. I actually found myself playing a lot more of the side stuff than I thought, just because I thought the combat was so fun. I didn't mind getting into a room and all of a sudden you see the red glowing flashes of enemies appearing and activating to fight you. I didn't mind that because I thought it was fun. I was like, how am I going to use the use cover, because there's not really a cover-based system, but still get behind cover and jump in and out and keep moving nonstop and fight all these dudes. So I really enjoyed it. Again, even though I thought some of the storyline was just bat crazy. It was just crazy, yeah.
You know, it's about it's like about worlds, other worlds, and you know, paranormal stuff and things that aren't the norm. So yeah, the story is going to be pretty out there.
I would say think about it like something like Inception, or maybe out of a Doctor Strange movie, but without any of the hand-holdy dialogue that helps viewers figure out what's going on. Like if you think about Inception, they really go out of their way to explain the story, or even the Doctor Strange movie. They really go out of the way to make sure that, let's make sure everyone gets it and everyone understands. This has that kind of mind-bendy premise to it in a lot of ways, but they don't explain really anything. Now, you could do a lot of reading and listening. They have a ton of documents and letters, and even with all the redacted stuff, there's a ton you can learn. I just didn't have time to read all that. I was like, I'm not going to sit here and read all this stuff.
I did read a couple of them, because I
did at first.
Yeah,
but
yeah, there was a lot. So
I liked the little videos though that Dr. Darling or whatever his name is that he left.
Yeah, that guy was super hilarious. Did you see the one of the last ones? So you know, there's that hallway that you go to that's sort of like an in between.
Yes. Yeah.
Like the what is it, the motel? Did you see one of the last videos of him? I don't want to spoil it, but like it's not normally what you see throughout the rest of the game. No, you don't know?
I did see one of him where he doesn't have a shirt on.
Let's say it involves music.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay.
In the motel, yes.
Yeah.
And you don't have
hilarious.
to watch it. Yeah, that was
Yeah, no, you don't, but I watched it for sure.
That's really him. Anyway, whatever. That was interesting. I thought you were talking about the one at the end of the story, where one of the last messages he leaves, he's standing there in just his boxer shorts talking to you at the end.
No, I meant the wacky one.
Okay. Yeah, no, not the shirtless one. That one was normal.
Yeah.
The wacky one.
Yeah,
overall, really, really enjoyed it. So, and you guys finished it too. Do you see this as being let's just say that we hear from Remedy that, and I'm pretty sure they are planning DLC. Let's just say they've got a major story DLC that drops around Christmas time. You going to jump back in? Are you going to try to replay it a little bit? Are you just what are you going to do? Is it going to be too late because you've already finished it and your interest level has waned? How do you normally handle that kind of thing?
So I actually did trade it in already.
Did you really?
Yeah, because I mean, you know, Zelda's coming out, and this year I've been more careful with money-wise with games, just because my wife and I are trying to buy a house and
take advantage while GameStop still exists, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I actually don't know if you use GameStop. Where'd you trade it in?
No, GameStop. It's just easier that way. Yeah. It's pretty close. So.
Yep.
But yeah, I traded it in because, again, there hasn't been a ton of games this year, and the ones that I've bought, and I'm like, all right, I'm playing them, and I finished them, and, you know, I've kind of decided here and there when I want to trade them in or not. So.
Totally support that decision, especially considering the fact that you're never going to get more value in a trade-in than you are right now for that game. It's only going to go down in value unless it becomes a collector's item, which isn't a thing really anymore for a lot of games. And also, this is the kind of game that's going to go on just ridiculous, less than $10 sale within the next, at least within the next year. So if you decide you want to double dip.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say, which, to answer your question, when it's that, like, around 20, 15, $10, I will rebuy it, because I probably will want to play the DLC, especially if they definitely announce the sequel. I want to play more of these games.
Yeah.
So
it's very, very interesting. And, you know, it's interesting comparing it to some other major releases this year. You look back at something like Crackdown 3. Crackdown 3 was exactly what everyone expected and nothing more. And that's why I think a lot of people had some trouble enjoying it. I enjoyed it because I expected what I think the game was meant to be. Something like Control, I didn't really know what to expect. I knew it was probably going to be like PsyOps and that kind of thing, and a little bit unique. But it was way beyond my expectations. It felt like a J.J. Abrams TV show storyline, just wacky and leaving you hanging all the time. And
I liked it a lot. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful game.
It did look good. I know people were complaining about performance issues. I played it on the Xbox One X. Didn't have a ton, other than when I fast traveled or first reloaded. Mm-hmm. Then it would kind of stick for a few seconds, and that usually didn't cause me any problems. Otherwise, I had no major performance problems. But so Control was great. I'm glad you guys recommended it to folks, and I agree.
Yeah. Hey guy, can you hear me? I was going to talk about indies now.
Derek's here.
Time to talk about indies.
This is actually great.
Derek,
We can. I was gonna say we could see his response. I don't have to hear his response, but
Right. But he would be suffering listening to the indie talk.
Derek, welcome back.
Hey.
Did
It's
you
a cool
guys?
shirt.
Oh, I do like that shirt actually.
Spider-Man. Yeah.
Was
Rest
that-
in peace.
Yeah, it's a girl shirt.
Was that given to you in person or through the mail by Sasan?
I
It was
can
sewn
neither
by
confirm
Sasan.
or deny the
Uh-huh.
way he gave it to me.
That looks like a shirt he actually used to wear. It's about that right
Probably.
size, right?
Oh, yeah. He buys me only girls small.
Sweet,
Sounds about right.
sweet.
Just like your pants.
All right, so Daniel,
Thanks,
you played, of course, Control last week. Did you jump into anything different this week?
So I'll rattle off the two. Knights and Bikes, which I had posted a video of it, like, I think a couple weeks before it came out. And, was it River City Girls? Which
Okay.
takes place in the River City Ransom universe, but it's like a beat-em-up game. It's a lot similar to, what the hell was it called? That game that they made the movie also. Scott Pilgrim, there we go.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like that style. It's pixelated. It's old school looking, but there's like shops you can go into to like buy accessories to like add like buffs to your character.
So it's kind of like a 2D, but you've got some depth to the platform there, right?
Yeah,
Or
you can
go up
kind of
and
go
down.
in and out of the background. Yeah, because like there's different paths. You can go to different sections. So you're like in a town, and you can go left. That kind of goes to this other part of town, or you can go back, and it goes to like a back alley or whatever. But yeah, Knights and Bikes was just. It was good. My wife and I wanted to play it. It was kind of cutesy. It kind of reminded me art style wise of Tearaway.
Okay.
But a little more hand drawn, so it's almost
Okay.
like paper mache, mixture of paper mache and hand drawn.
I feel like I remember seeing this one announced a while back, and I can't remember for what console,
Yeah.
but it rings a bell. I know
game-
both of these are reviewing well, by the way. They're both in the 80s.
Yeah, the gameplay of Knights and Bikes is okay. It's not anything spectacular. You each, by the end of the game, have like 3 different weapons. They have different kinds of attacks, basic attack, and then like a charge-up attack that do different things. It's definitely more about the story. It's very endearing. There's 2 main characters, so I was playing Nessa, and then my wife is playing Demelza, I think it was pronounced. The characters had weird names. And Demelza's, you find out in the first, like, couple of minutes her mom had passed away at some point. So Nessa shows up on the island, and they kind of just bump into each other, sort of like a destiny moment of like, oh, well, these two are going to be intertwined, and Nessa's going to help her get over the passing of her mom and sort of like the situation that's going on the island with the dad and people trying to sort of stop all the businesses that are going on the island, because I think everyone's kind of in debt because as time is progressing, less tourists are coming to this island, so people are kind of buying out the property, and you are trying to find like some treasure to essentially pay off that debt so then the island doesn't get taken over. So
Is this the RPG? Is it like a little action adventure? What kind of game?
it's like an action. Yeah, it's like an action adventure. So like the combat, like you see like numbers dinging off of enemies when you're hitting them, but there isn't like, it's not like RPG stats where there's like strength and agility and all that.
Okay, so you're not leveling up or upgrading gear or anything like that.
No, there was no upgrading. It's pretty basic. It's definitely more just about like kind of like that indie story of like the characters are endearing and the art style's cute. So I really liked the story. By the end of it, I was like, oh well, that's really nice, and I definitely, it had a heartfelt sort of message at the end. So
there you go. Knights and Bikes. I do remember seeing something about that, but I never.
Yeah.
Then it came out, I was like, maybe when it's super cheap.
I think it's definitely, I think it's like 20 or 15, I forget. If your wife likes to play games, but she's not like super into playing anything complicated, and likes the kind of indie cutesy story games, it's not bad. So, and again,
at this point, my wife will only play games that have some combination of the 2 words candy and crush.
Sure.
So maybe if they make a game called Crush Candy, maybe she would play that.
Sure. Crushing on candy.
Yeah. Candy Crushy, maybe? I don't know, man. I don't know. All right, Knights and Bikes and River City Girls. River City Girls I saw sitting on one of the stores, and I was like, I bet you this is River City Ransom with girls, basically. I don't know if it's...
I never played any of the older ones, so I don't actually know anything about them.
Well, I mean, Scott Pilgrim versus the World comparison tells me that it is a lot like...
Yeah. And I'm assuming it obviously plays much better than... Because those are older, right? I don't think there's like a
Scott
newer
Pilgrim's
River City.
relatively newer, right? That was...
Or as far as the River City games.
Yeah, those are very...
They're all fairly old, yeah. So it's actually really fun. I like it. You know, you can upgrade moves, and like I said, you buy accessories, and if your health is low, you buy food to replenish your HP. So it's got anime cutscenes. Derek loves anime, so
Yeah,
cutscenes.
It's an indie game with anime cutscenes.
Yeah, not only cutscenes, but anime style.
And it's an indie, so Derek, I recommend that for you, buddy.
I don't need you to recommend it.
We can all hear him typing. He's Googling it. He's Googling it right now.
He's Googling...
I pre-ordered it, then reordered it, then bought it under my son's account. I really wanted this.
He's like,
he's
how
on
hot
YouTube.
are these River City girls?
Yeah, he's on YouTube watching the anime cutscenes right now. So
Absolutely.
Derek, other than Gears 5, because that's going to be the main thing we talk about after we run through the Nintendo Direct news real quick. Other than that, are you playing much this week?
The only thing that I did that I didn't talk about in last week's show was finish Control, which I think I should talk at least about that. So when I talked about Control last week, I said that I really enjoyed it. Obviously enjoyed it because it hooked me enough to, at that point, I think I was in Chapter 8, I want to say. Anyways, there's like 10 chapters. So I went on the next day.
And there's really only 9 full-fledged chapters, right?
Yeah.
The 10th one is a bit of a just epilogue.
So I went on to play the rest of it, and I finished it. I still did not care about the story. I did go and like watch like a one of those YouTube videos to just kind of see if I understood enough, even though I seriously skipped all like talking. I was just like, I don't care. They give you the option to hit B over and over and skip it, or I think you could actually hit start and request to skip the cutscene. I did that. So anyway, so I went on and watched that just to see if I was kind of on what they were doing. I think for the most part, I was able to follow it, even though I wasn't actually watching the cutscenes and stuff. But I still don't. I would say the story was kind of a letdown because I didn't feel like there was, like, it's this mysterious, crazy game that never really comes to closure where you're like, oh, now I get why this was so vague or so weird. Like, I like how they brought it all together and wrapped it up to make it all make sense, and they didn't really do that in a satisfying way. They just kind of were like, oh, okay, well, here's how we end it, so you hopefully keep playing this game and play the DLC and stuff like that.
Did it almost feel to you like this has been an introduction to a bigger story? Like, to me, it almost had a... Yeah. We want to set up the premise and the rules of this weird multi-dimensional universe. We want to set all this premise up, and then we're going to do... It's almost like The Hobbit. Like, so if they end up making this a big series of games, I could see this one being kind of, here's the premise.
I didn't want to spoil it because I can't say it a certain way that I want to say it without spoiling it, but you're kind of saying it, so hopefully you'll be able to follow me, and anybody who's beaten Control knows that. The way they end it is pretty obvious with what they're trying to do, and that's what you were saying. Not only set it up for the future, but just set it up for right after you finish playing it.
I just think it's funny that you're saying I skipped all the cutscenes, but like the story made no sense and the ending just kind of...
No, the story, even when I watched the recap video, it was just stupid. Like the guy's like, and when I say he recapped it, I'm talking like he broke down and defined what everything symbolized, all the symbolism and what it meant and why.
What if he was wrong? What if this guy was wrong?
He was totally wrong. And I'm like sitting there and I'm like, no, it's one of those games where I thought like it was going to have a lot of symbolism and like be vague, and this thing here stands for this, and then it's going to be revealed that it's something much bigger, or maybe they were repeating certain things because they were trying to make it look like it was just this normal thing, but then they're going to drop a twist at the end and be like, hey, did you remember you saw all this stuff? So I am kind of like saying, hey, I was expecting like BioShock type twists at the end. And you don't get that. You just get like, hey, this. I'm not saying the story is bad. I'm saying it just plays out in this weird way. Like, let me give Kojima some credit. I'm hard on him because I think they have a hard on for him and they're stupid. I think he's
well done, by the way. Well said.
Yes. I think he's a genius because he will do this weird crap that I'm talking about that Alan Wake and all these games do. But every time they end their games, I'm not talking about Kojima anymore, I'm talking about Remedy, they just kind of like end it and it's not that satisfying. There's no twist, there's no like, oh, you were weird because you were setting this up.
Yeah.
Kojima does that, like, weird. I don't understand.
But there's a payoff in Kojima's story.
And then he pays it off. Like, I'm not going to spoil Metal Gear Solid 5, but the whole time I was playing it for the gameplay, and I was like, I don't care about the story. I don't care about the story.
But it's got a great ending.
And it's dumb, and it's dumb, and it's dumb. And then at the end, he shows you something he's shown you the entire video game that's not that big of a deal, and then he throws twists at you, and you're like, oh, it was a big deal. Like, this stuff was happening for a purpose. Do you understand what I'm saying now, Daniel?
Very cool.
And I'm not saying that because you're an idiot to me. I'm saying that because all our listeners are idiots to me.
Sure.
But my point is that Control should have been something more, in my opinion. When it comes to story, when it comes to gameplay, I thought it was super fun. Like, when I was done playing it,
they really nailed that third-person, fast-paced kind of psyops style.
When I was done with the story, I did move on, but I only moved on because I had other stuff. If I was in one of those seasons where I was just like, I just want to play a game just to have fun, and I don't have any desire to beat games or move on, then I would have kept playing Control because it's that much fun. I did find the last, I guess it's Chapter 9 or whatever, the last level to be, the level, it's Chapter 9 because it wasn't the last level.
Yeah.
But there's a ending.
The final boss is Chapter 10, so.
Yes, so Chapter 9 is, there was some frustrating parts. There was some
that astral plane part where you're trying to navigate through the astral plane with a lot of enemies.
No, my frustration was fighting all these difficult enemies on small little platforms that if you try to dodge and you dodge off, you're dead.
You fall off.
That kept happening to me, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so frustrating because I'm getting hit from everywhere. So I felt like there was a little bit of a spike. It's not Quantum Break spike, but there was a little bit of spike there on the difficulty. But again, great game. It's definitely going to be in my top 10. I probably won't buy the DLC unless the reviews of the DLC is like, it really continues the story and blows it away.
Yeah, if it's just here's another set of powers and a few more missions, then it's not worth it. But yeah,
I'm not going to go back like that.
If they do the old Witcher 3 style, where there's actually a new through line, and new characters, and new environments, great. I'm in. Let's do it. So we'll see what they decide there. I'm with you. I really enjoyed it as well. I actually thought the voice acting was quite good.
Oh yeah.
The motion
that
capture
Ati guy
performance.
is still super weird though.
Ati's weird, but again, very well acted. Great use of music throughout this game, by the way. As a big fan of music, they did some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
With all kinds of stuff, and some original music from different bands. There's even some rooms that really center around music that don't make a lot of sense, and I'm sure that there's.
Oh, give me that. Yeah.
There's probably something I could have learned.
That ashtray, whatever. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, very, very cool. Yeah, there was a very, speaking of Inception, we talked about that earlier, a very Inception-like sequence in that maze, which got really crazy and loopy. That was just really well done.
Yeah.
So overall, I thought it was good. I do think that a lot of their side missions are hit or miss. Like, some of them were truly just go to this area and defeat this group of enemies type of a thing, which is fine. You can get some good loot and you can level up. Great. But some of them actually were quite interesting. I thought that when you open up the... it's not the objects of power, it's the other ones. The altered items. There's this guy who sends you on a series of quests to track down these missing altered items. Those were all quite interesting. Like, basically there's a mission where you run into, and this is not really spoily for the main story, okay? But there's a mission that's triggered because you see this guy who you don't know who he is. He's stuck in a room and he's got to stare at this refrigerator, and he says, if I stop looking at it, it's going to destroy the world kind of a thing. And you're like,
Yeah.
this guy's nuts. But then it tells you, come back after this story moment, and you can help him out. So if you actually do, you don't have to. You can totally forget about that guy and move on. I went back, finished that one. It's a new boss fight, by the way, a pretty difficult boss fight. Because this boss busts holes in the floor that are kind of hard to spot, and I fell
that
through
was
like
tough.
I fell through like 5 times. But anyway, by the way, if you have levitate for that fight, it makes that fight super, super easy. All that to say, once you do that, and then you go and talk to another NPC who it tells you to go talk to, he sends you on a list of, I think there's like 6 or 7 additional items, and each of them are a different combination of battling and just kind of using your head to figure out how do I get this altered item. Listen, they do some really cool stuff with their side missions, even though some of them are just truly, here's some grindy, level up type stuff. Some of it is actually kind of interesting. But anyway, you guys talked about Control a lot last week. I recommend to our listeners, go listen to that episode. The guys broke it down pretty well. Overall, it sounds like all 3 of us really enjoyed it. We had mostly positive things to say about it, and yeah, go get it. It's really, really good. I highly recommend it.
I think it's worthy of a purchase, and I think it's worthy of most people that play through it and beat it. I think it'll fall in their top 10.
Yeah,
I think it's that good of a game.
It looks good. It's fun to play. It's got an intriguing story and good characters. The overall production quality is great. I recommend it on the Xbox One X or PS4 Pro. It sounds like are the best places to play it, but or PC, I suppose, might be the best place to play it if you've got a good PC. But anyway.
I did want to mention one more before we move on to, I guess we're going to talk about Gears of War, which would make sense. I did go back to Days Gone. So I beat Control, and then I went back to Days Gone, and I'm enjoying that. In fact, I was like debating on whether I wanted to finish it before Gears, and we'll talk about it with Gears. There's a lot of reasons why you would play Gears over Days Gone, but I will say this. Days Gone is a better game than I think a lot of people give props to. I still think the story and characters and voice acting are pretty, I'll say average. I'll be nice and say average. But the actual gameplay, while it can get repetitive, it is fun. And the world is fun, and I enjoy upgrading the bike and the RPG mechanics. It's just a fun game. I do think it's too long. That's why I walked away from it in the first place. I even saw Jose in our group say that as well. So he's another one that was like, hey, I enjoyed it, but it does go on too long. But I definitely am looking forward to, I want to beat that game, but that would be the only other one. I never went back to Astral Chain.
They just updated it. They either just updated it or they're about to update Days
New
Gone.
Game Plus?
New Game Plus and some new additional difficulties. A few other things
they're about ready, I think, to update it. I don't know if it's gone live yet.
Yeah.
I'll check.
Speaking of Astral Chain, now, unless I missed it, you guys, if you did talk about this last week, it was less than a minute. I don't remember you guys talking about Astral Chain.
So
I put several hours into Astral Chain and really love it. This game has been getting a lot of great reviews, and for great reason. It's one of the best looking games the Switch has put out, and that's saying a lot because I think stuff like Mario Odyssey and Zelda and of course Mario Kart, stuff like that, those games do look really sharp on the system. I think Astral Chain looks and plays fantastically. So it's Platinum Games, but this is a Nintendo exclusive, so I'm a little surprised at how good it looks. I love the art style they chose. It's all about art style.
Yeah.
If they would have gone with a more realistic look and less of the cel-shaded kind of sheen to it, it probably wouldn't look or run as well. But they picked a great art style that works great on the system. And it has to work really well because the combat is fast-paced and crazy with enemies everywhere. You're controlling essentially 2 characters that are tethered together the entire time. There's your main character who essentially has 2 different attack types and is relatively weak, at least for the most part. And then you've got your Legion that you've got kind of on this, literally on a chain. That's your Astral Chain, and it's wrapped around their neck, and you're controlling them. And you can use the other stick to control them. You can just kind of throw them towards the enemy and let them go at it. You can control them to go in a circle around the enemy to then wrap them up with the chain, and then you kind of stun them for a few seconds to get some hits in. And later in the game, you start to unlock some really awesome, what are essentially combos with your character, ways that your character and your Legion can work together in some really cool ways. Not to mention that they set up what I think is a pretty interesting world. To me, it feels like a somewhere between above average and good anime TV show type premise. So it's really fun, this whole premise of who are these legions and how did we control them, and honestly there's a little bit of guilt feeling when you see how it is you're controlling them. You're like, is this right? Is this okay?
Is this ethical?
Is this bad? But also they are kind of evil monsters that are trying to kill us. But by the way, there are some awesome, I guess you could call them set pieces. There's not like quick time events where you're hitting buttons or anything like that I've found so far. But some of the set pieces, some of the scenes that happen, and some of the story twists that are pretty early in the game kind of surprised me. Again, the production quality on this thing is insane. So I really enjoy it. I think the combat is a blast. Coming off of something like Control, the voice acting is quite cheesy comparatively, but keep in mind it's a translated anime game, and so you just have to adjust your expectations. Whereas something like Control was more in line with L.A. Noire or Red Dead Redemption, where it's very meticulously and carefully performed. This is much more, can we get a voice actor in here to quickly read these translated lines for us? It just has more of that vibe.
Well they got it's anime, so it's got to have that melodrama, you know?
And it does. They do a fine job with that. They do a fine job with that. But about 4 or 5 hours in, I'm really taking my time, and I've heard that this game is completable in about the 15-hour range if you just fly through it. But there's a ton of stuff to upgrade. Even the whole training sequence shows you that there is a lot of complexity to what at first seems like a very simple combat system. There's a ton of complexity. So Platinum Games, yet again, just really upping the ante when it comes to combat. They did a really good job. So I love it, and I can't wait to keep playing more of it. Between that and Fire Emblem, that's a nice combination on the Switch there between a very kind of slower-paced strategy, turn-based, and super fast-paced. But it's all anime on the Switch right now, between Fire Emblem and Astral Chain. But this one has delivered, man. It really, really has. I'm pleased with it. And by the way, it was my official final purchase through Best Buy's Gamer Club Unlocked program.
Aww.
I am officially expired over there. But I got I got it for $48 from them, which is cool.
Well, and that is sad news, but at the same time, I'm noticing more and more retailers are just dropping games by like $10, like right away.
Yeah.
So it's like
more, right?
all these like sites are not allowed to do these special like $50 if you pre-order the game or whatever, but they're still doing it. So I don't know what's going on.
Who knows?
Not complaining.
Right, well, go play Astral Chain if you haven't yet. Definitely get it when you see it go on sale. I don't think it's ever going to hit an incredibly steep sale because it is a Nintendo exclusive, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a between 10 to 20% off around the holidays. And if you do see that, I recommend it. There's a ton to do, and it's worth your money completely. All right. I want to go through some of the Nintendo Direct news real quick, and then I kind of want to, unless, Daniel, you've played Gears 5, you don't have an Xbox or a PC, so how could you?
That's right.
Yeah.
But I'll nod along intently.
But want to throw it to Derek to talk us through some of his Gears 5 impressions so far, which doesn't officially release till this Tuesday, which is when I'll get to play it. But anyway, we'll get that from Derek.
Why are you not playing it?
Because I don't have Game Pass Ultimate. I just have Game Pass.
Loser, it's $2. Like, it's $2.
It is?
Yes, they're running a promotion now for $2, and I think you get like
do it right now, Tim. Do it.
All right, I'm gonna go do that here in a minute while Derek's talking about Gears 5.
All right, so let's talk.
But it's also available on Tuesday, so I'm not, and I've got other stuff I'm playing. So even if I did download it, I might not play it till Tuesday. But whatever. All right, let's talk about Nintendo Direct. Gears. No, let's talk Nintendo Direct.
Let's talk Gears. Who cares about Nintendo Direct?
Then you can do your Gears Direct after that. All right. The face he just made. Nintendo did what seemed like now quarterly directs. It seems like 4 times a year Nintendo puts out a major direct presentation, and this one I think had people split on whether or not they liked it, they enjoyed the announcements or not. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they aren't really delivering right now in their major first-party IPs. Like we saw a tease of the sequel to Breath of the Wild is in the works. But since Odyssey and Breath of the Wild and that brief screenshot of the title for Metroid Prime 4, we haven't really seen a whole lot of here comes the new IP, or I'm sorry, the existing first-party IP from Nintendo. Sure. It's been a lot of third-party stuff, some really cool partnerships we didn't expect, a lot of ports that are coming over, and then a lot of kind of new IP like Astral Chain and Mario plus Rabbids from a couple years ago. So It's a little interesting, but I'm curious to hear what you guys thought of what they talked about.
Tim, people have been complaining for years that Nintendo and third parties don't get along, and it's ridiculous, and Nintendo needs to get with the times. And now here we are, and they have all these great third-party games, and it's not enough. It's never enough, Tim.
Not only is it not enough, but one thing I've discovered is if you release a game even a week later than it originally released, it's considered a port, and therefore people write it off as not a valuable game coming to the system. And I just don't understand that mindset, but whatever. It's also people who just have to complain.
I will, that we've talked about that 50 billion times. That's just what we do. But, like, I do think some gamers do forget that all these games that are coming over, none of them would be complaining, and this has nothing to do with bashing Sony phones. None of them would be complaining if they were announcing, like, Overwatch is coming to the PS Vita. And here's why. Because the Vita is
dead,
just a handheld.
Yeah.
So if they knew Overwatch was coming to the Vita, they would be super excited that it's in handheld mode, and they would know it would be downgraded.
They did it with Borderlands 2 with the Vita. People lost their minds. Yep.
Now you have all these announcements of all these older games, or even some of them are more current, but there are a lot of older games. When I say older, I'm talking like a year to 3 years older.
Mostly within this gen, but games that were on other systems for a little
released
while.
prior.
Yes.
So you've got all these announcements, which we're going to cover some of them even when you go through the Nintendo Direct. All these announcements, and you see people. Some of them are celebrating, so let's not act like people aren't celebrating. They're celebrating because they get it. They're like, it's coming to the Switch. Yes, it's going to be a little bit uglier, but I can take it anywhere I want to go. Right. And then you have all these other people who are like, why would I buy it on the Switch? It looks better on the PS4 and Xbox. This is so dumb. Why are they releasing old games? And it's like, okay, again, are you missing the point of what the Nintendo Switch made all its money off of? The fact that you can play it on your TV if you want, but the main reason people are buying is they're like, I'm getting 720, well, I should go a little lower, 480p to 1080p graphics, pretty good-looking games on the go with 2 sticks, which, by the way, Vita didn't have, 2 sticks, and all the buttons, everything. It plays exactly how you'd want to play it. So I think a lot of people are missing the excitement for people
Vita
that
had
are
2
big
sticks.
Switch. Huh?
Vita had 2 sticks.
It was trash.
It didn't have
I'm
two.
thinking of the other one.
The PSP.
Yeah.
It didn't have
But
2
even
trigger buttons this week.
That was what it was. It was missing something that didn't allow me to play games the way I wanted to play them.
Just use that little back touchpad with your...
Oh, yeah. That worked really good on Borderlands 2. No, it really didn't. It was terrible. Yeah. So anyways, but that was my point, is I'm not defending the Switch, because I enjoy my Switch, but I barely use it. Like you were talking about how we've got, what was the 2 games? Astral Chain and then Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
I played Fire Emblem for like 2 hours, and I'm a big Fire Emblem fan. And I played Astral Chain for like 30 minutes. Because I always prefer to play on my Xbox, my PC, and my PS4 over the Switch.
Then that's where you should play. Right?
That's what I do.
That's kind of my reaction to most people when they talk about this. Like, I'd rather play these on these other systems. I'm like, sweet, go play them over there. Like, I don't understand the raining on the parade.
How dare they, have these games be on more things? How dare they, right?
But I think I would play the Switch more if I didn't have issues with handheld mode, and that's because the dumb Joy-Cons are broken trash. That's why I want to actually buy the new one, the small light one.
Go trade it in. Go trade it in at GameStop right now. You'll get it basically for free. You get $225 for it at GameStop right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Unless they change that deal, it's supposed to run through September 15th. As long as you have a functioning Switch with 2 Joy-Cons on it and the dock and the charger and all that stuff that came with it, they're supposed to give you $200 plus $25 as their current bonus for it. So
not bad.
Get yourself a Switch Lite, which comes out in a couple weeks here, I think, and then
it comes out mid-September, right?
Then $25 to spend, whatever. Anyway, I am 100% with you, and I listen. I totally get it. If you see that The Witcher 3, or like we'll talk about here, Overwatch, these bigger games that have been on higher quality, better running platforms, and now they're finally dropping on Switch, and you kind of scoff at that. I totally get it. No one's asking you to now go play it and pretend like it looks just as good. No problem. But I do think I look at it as, oh, now I have this in portable mode. Sweet. Because I
Right.
tried playing The Witcher 3 using the Vita's remote play with the PS4. I tried it, and in certain spots in my house, it kind of worked okay if I was just doing something like Gwent, or if I was just walking around talking to people. But as soon as I got into battles, it was a major struggle, because the button configuration wasn't quite working. With the Switch and handheld mode I've talked about this before, and I know it sounds dirty, but it's not. It's called the Satisfy grip.
Oh, I bet.
Stay with me, all right?
Oh, boy.
And it basically it attaches onto the system. The system kind of slides down into these two little holders on the bottom.
Yeah,
and then
It does.
Yeah, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to power through. And then it actually makes the two sides of the Switch. It makes the two sides of the Switch feel more like a controller. Because you know how the Switch now, you almost have to have it rest in the bottom left part of your palms, and it can really wear on you after a while. Well, now these actually feel like the sides of an actual controller. It's just a really wide controller. And I play that thing in handheld for way longer than I did before I had that little grip attachment. So, anyway, all that to say, to me, I see, Witcher 3 handheld. We've talked about this before. I'm really intrigued to play some of this stuff in handheld mode, because I also know I'll get more game time with it, because I've got multiple people in this house with limited TV screens. We still have too many TVs, and there still doesn't seem to be the access that I always want when I want it. Having handheld mode has kind of changed the access that I have to a lot of games that I love. That's why I've been able to finish stuff on the Switch. It's because I've got handheld mode going. So, I digress. Let's talk about some of these Switch announcements. The worst kept secret is that Overwatch is coming to Switch. Everyone already was talking about it. All kinds of leaks everywhere. So, Nintendo led off with it and announced it's coming out October 15th. Derek and I talked about this a while back when it was kind of Game of the Year for 2016 for a lot of people, I think. Is this one that you played? And yeah.
Okay.
Or was it 2017? 2016, I think. Anyway, Overwatch. Is that a game that you care about at all? Did you play it? Is that your thing?
I think it was a year after it had been out on PlayStation 4. My friend was like, yeah, let's, like, a couple of my buddies, like, we want something to play on the PS4 because he's more of an Xbox guy. I don't know why I'm friends with him, but
sounds like a good guy.
Sure. He's actually a nice guy, but he's terrible decision-making at video games. But he's like, yeah, you need something to play, and Overwatch is on sale. So I was like, all right, I mean, I guess I'll buy it. It was still like $48, but I was like, I'll give it a shot, because at that point, up till that point, I had no interest. And then when I actually was playing, I was like, oh, this is actually really fun, because I had not played anything like that, a hero shooter. Like, that's not anything I was familiar with. But, yeah, no, I thought it was pretty cool, and I played it here and there over the years, but I haven't touched it in, like, probably a year, so.
Yeah. It's not one that I would plan on buying right away. I think it's cool that people can have it on the Switch if they want.
Oh, absolutely.
But,
and they keep updating it, so.
I'm pretty sure. Are you able to play cross system in this, or is that just Dauntless that said they could do that?
I don't know.
I think that was just Dauntless. All right, so there you go. Overwatch is coming out. Be excited if you want to be excited, I guess.
Please be excited.
Luigi's Mansion 3. They talked through a few additional game modes they have, which are pretty fun. That game looks like it's going to be a blast. That comes out on Halloween.
Good day.
They also announced that available now is Super Kirby Clash, which is what they're calling free to start. From what I've heard, what I've read, it's very mobile gamey in the way that it asks you to do stuff, like in the way that it allows you to play, or you run out of energy, or whatever they're called. But I have heard that it's kind of got this Smash Brothers meets Monster Hunter Lite aspect to it. It's basically a boss rush. And I don't mean Monster Hunter in that it's super in-depth. I just mean in that you're basically just going in with a team and taking down a big boss together. But it's in Kirby World.
Yeah.
So, and you can apparently do a lot of upgrades, and there's loot and things like that. I don't know how that'll work, or if it's actually fun, but that is available to play for free right now on the Switch. It's always nice when they have a available today announcement. I think it's always cool.
Shadow drops are pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. The Trials of Mana remake comes out April 24th of 2020. I believe it's going to be on multiple consoles, but it's coming to Switch as well.
That looks great.
It does look really good. It's also got a ton of anime cleavage going on, like a lot. I was watching the direct with my boys, and I was like, you guys want to grab a snack real quick during this one?
Daddy, we like anime now.
Yeah. Let's get this game. So that comes out in April. Return of the Obra Dinn, which was an indie darling from last year, looks kind of boring, but the art style is unique. I'll give it that.
I've heard that it's very good. It's like it actually won awards. Like it was very popular when it came out.
It's an adventure kind of.
It's like a puzzly type of game, right?
Puzzle type game. Yeah, you got to recreate what happened on this ship that mysteriously returned after being.
I heard it reviewed very well. So.
Yeah. This game that was called Town for a little while, that's the name it was being given. It was from Game Freak, the guys who normally work on Pokemon games. They now have an official and new title for their game that was called Town. It's now called Little Town Hero. It looks like it's going to be indie game priced or smaller game priced, so it's more like $20-$25, something in that range. It looks very, very kid-friendly. The target audience is certainly for the younger crowd, but it actually has some pretty cool-looking mechanics in terms of RPGs and some of the strategy elements and the way you can actually build up your town. And I'm not sure about the monster raising. I thought there was some kind of monster raising aspect to it. I might be wrong on that. It might just be more of a straightforward RPG, but it did look kind of creative and kind of cutesy and fun, specifically aimed at kids, though. Just keep that in mind.
I'm all about RPGs and towns, Tim.
Yeah,
I'm all about that.
RPG Town. Super Smash DLC, again, it's never been my thing, but everyone wanted Banjo-Kazooie, so that's out now. Yeah. And they announced this, I forget the guy's name from Fatal Fury. Oh, Terry.
Terry.
From Fatal Fury, coming out in November. And then
such a lame pick.
Right?
I know everyone's super excited, but okay, so I appreciate, like, them putting Ryu and Ken in there. Yeah. But, like, there's something that bugs me about them putting a fighting game character in this unique fighting game.
I thought this was a good chance to put an Overwatch character in, obviously. To be honest with you. I think that would have been the time to do it.
I want like more unique characters. I want characters that aren't in a fighting game and you're pitting them together with all these other characters across all these generations and different platforms, and Mario fighting Pac-Man, fighting Cloud, fighting whatever. I don't know. I don't care about it being Terry.
Yeah.
Like, I would have preferred somebody else. So
I got you. The little intro to it was pretty creative. I was like,
I did like that, though.
Who's it going to be? And all these hands kept reaching for it, but they couldn't quite grab onto the invitation. And then it goes, Terry! And I was like, I don't know who Terry is, but cool. All right, so that's coming out. So. And they did confirm that there's more characters coming.
Season 2.
Yeah, there's going to be an additional wave of characters. They're not finished when this first pack is finished. So.
No.
They showed a little more of Link's Awakening, which I'm getting pumped about. That comes out in about 2 weeks. That's on September 20th. I'm really excited for that game. And they showed some of the dungeon building stuff that you can do. And you can actually unlock additional squares that you can now include in your dungeons as you piece them together. And you can. It kind of looks like an old school Zelda Maker Lite. Like, it doesn't look like it's anywhere near in depth as Mario Maker. Please don't mishear me. But it does sound like there's some cool ways you can build your own little dungeons and challenge your friends to go give it a whirl.
Although I would be super into a Zelda Maker. That would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, and let me switch between the old NES one and Link's Awakening and Link to the Past, and that could be really, really cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
They showed a little bit more of Dragon Quest XI-S, which comes out September 27th. By the way, it's going to have a demo that I think you can play. I think the demo's out now. You can play 10 hours. You can play it for up to 10 hours, and that totally carries over, which is very smart. Way for them to approach this.
10 hours is a lot.
I think it's 10. Might be less than that. But whatever you can play, it lets you carry it over.
Play that game. It's fantastic. It's amazing.
Eric, this one's for you, my friend. Tokyo Massage Sessions.
Yeah.
It's actually, of course, Tokyo.
Legit. Like, when you guys play it, you're going to be like, oh, no, it's so fun.
It's Tokyo Mirage Sessions, #FE, or sharp FE.
Well, don't get me wrong, it's definitely anime bullcrap, like when they do the pop singing bullcrap.
Lots of dancing, yeah.
But the combat is fun, the characters are fun, it's good. That's
a cool way to kick off the year. It comes out January 17th of 2020, so we've got something to look forward to. I feel like they did that last year too, of course, with New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, or whatever it was called. That came out in January, so kind of a nice way to kick off the year. Deadly Premonition 2 has been announced. It's coming out in 2020, I'm going to assume, to multiple consoles. And then they released Deadly Premonition Origins, which is available to download now.
Yeah, that was a big deal. I've not played the original one, but people were freaking out about that.
Yeah, people loved that announcement.
It's a cult classic.
Exactly. It's one of the ones that I totally missed, but I don't doubt that it's quality. I just never played it myself.
Yeah.
Here's one that I'm super pumped about, and I know it's going to drop in price, and I'm going to get it. I don't feel like spending this much money on something that I know I won't play right now. But this, to me, is a perfect game that fits into that, oh, I can play this in handheld mode. Sweet. That's Divinity Original Sin 2. This game, to me, strikes me as a perfect... It's one of those games that you can do pick up and play session and then kind of pause your progress or, save right there and then come back to it. I need to wrap up something like Fire Emblem before I dive into this, so I'll wait. It's $50. You get the full, I think it's called Definitive Edition though, so whatever additional stuff they've added into it, and it does come with cross-save with the Steam version on PC. The only caveat though is you have to have the definitive version on PC.
Right.
I don't know if they have an upgrade offer over there if you bought the original one and upgrade to definitive. But anyway, it's a cloud cross save between the two, so you can play on your PC, then you could cloud save and then pick it up on your trip on the Switch. Very, very cool idea that they've got there.
Absolutely, more games need to do that.
Yeah, I think so too. That to me, if more games did that, I would start to slowly be convinced that maybe I just need a really good PC and a Switch, because if I could cross save between the two. Anyway, I digress. Hey, Derek, they're putting out another old game on the Switch.
Hey.
It's called Doom 64.
Can't wait.
Dude, Doom 64 was fun, but I don't remember if I loved it or if I just remember being hungry for any game on the 64. Sure. I can't remember.
Or just it being cool that Doom was on 64.
Yeah, and I remember it being cool. I remember back then, at least the visuals were certainly upgraded from what we saw on the Super Nintendo, but I think I loved it. I can't tell. So we'll see if that one comes out at about $10 or less. I will grab it on the Switch. I really enjoyed. I went all the way through and beat Doom 1 and 2, and then I played through a good amount of Doom 3 when those came out on the Switch. Really enjoyed those. Those all played really well.
Nice.
New IP coming from the company Hi-Rez called Rogue Company. Looks like a third-person multiplayer game, third-person shooter. Don't know a ton about that though. Coming in 2020. They did share a whole ton of info on Pokemon that I don't care about. Bunch of food that you can cook and hairstyles.
I'm going media blackout on the Pokemon. I want to be surprised when I catch them.
It's enough already with that stuff. But I know people are excited. That's fine. But here's what's weird to me, that they keep telling us these kind of details about Pokemon. I feel like the crowd for that are already the hardcore Pokemon crowd who are already going to buy this game. So I'm not sure who these announcements are for. They're certainly not for me.
They should be doing them separately.
I think so too. I think so too.
I mean, I get it because it's Pokemon and that's a huge franchise. But again, I actually looked away because I know this sounds super nerdy and stupid, but I like being surprised by the Pokemon and oh, what's that one? I had not seen that yet, and because that's kind of that's part of the whole process, catching them all and catching the new Pokemon, seeing the new ones. Also, you can't catch a bunch of the old ones now because everyone's furious about them not having the entire Pokedex in this one.
Listen, there's gonna be plenty of Pokemon to catch. Everyone, settle down.
It's never enough, Tim.
It's gonna be fine. They did announce a new update for Tetris 99, which was one of my favorite kind of free surprise games of the year. New modes and challenges they're adding, which I have not dug into yet, but I think for some of the modes, it's kind of like an added level of difficulty that now only people who have finished in first place at some point qualify for this other mode. So, being an awesome gamer that I am, I have finished first place a number of times. So I'm going to go try it. I just haven't yet. Also, you can buy this game at physical edition, or you can actually buy the game in the store, and it comes with a year of Switch Online. So,
cool.
Kind of a cool thing they've included there. You're basically buying Switch Online because the game's free.
Yeah.
But whatever. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games now has this kind of old-school pixel graphics mode that, I'll be honest with you, looks hilarious and fun. Some of the old-school pixel stuff they showed.
It's the first time we've seen, Sonic, old pixelated Sonic and old Mario, together. So that's pretty cool.
I think they said they have, was it 10? No. 15? I can't remember. They named the number of mini games that they have for the Olympic Games, and it does sound like it'll be a fun mini game collection. Especially if you've got a family or a group of people who want to play together. So go for it. There's a demo available now, a prologue demo that you can get for Daemon X Machina. That's a new one with the updated version of the game, and this progress also carries over into the main game if you play it and if you like it. I had hoped to play that because I downloaded it. I'd hoped to play it for our show tonight, but didn't get time this weekend to play that one. I wanted to give you my thoughts, but I'll tell you what I think next week on that.
Can't wait. I'm so excited.
Look at that high energy. Just like how I started the show.
that monotone. You guys are great at the monotone.
Yeah.
Hey, September 24th, I've got another old game that I can't wait to buy. It's called Jedi Knight 2: Jedi Outcast.
People were pumped about that.
I am really excited. I played this on the PC a lot.
I could play this game in 4K. Why would I play it on the Switch?
Great question.
Apparently,
though, it's not just Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast. They're going to put out the sequel as well, which was called Jedi Academy, where you create your character, and they actually have more of a pathway. So about halfway through the game, there's a major choice you have to make to essentially go light or dark side, and the story and the final boss changes based on your choice, stuff like that. So I think both those games are worth playing. I think they do have some multiplayer that I don't know if they're bringing over or not, but I know that there were a ton of modders out there in the PC world who loved this game for years. I just don't know if it's still a thing now or not. But I'm excited for that. Really, really enjoyed it. If you've never played it before, I don't know if you don't have the nostalgia for it, don't know if you'll love it. I don't know if the combat holds up. In my mind, it was amazing combat, but I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah.
Of course, they showed.
Well, it probably was back then.
It was back then. It was very, very cool.
I'm sure it'll be just like Devil May Cry 5. It's probably similar to that.
I mean, some of the stuff you could do was like throwing your lightsaber, taking out a couple guys in front of you, and then you could do this backstab move right behind you to get the guy. Like some of those little moves just felt so smooth about 15 years ago. We'll see if they still feel smooth now. Of course, Witcher 3 comes out October 15th, same day as Overwatch. Should be an interesting day. Another game that leaked is the Assassin's Creed Rebel Collection, which is Black Flag and Rogue, both coming to Switch on December 9th. I'm assuming they're coming to other platforms as well, the Rebel Collection. I love both of these games. I like Black Flag more, but Rogue was a lot of fun as well. I think they're only $30, so to me the price is right to double dip on that and have those on the go, but I'm going to wait. Similar to some of these other games we've talked about, will it run well? And I've heard mixed reviews on AC3. And I've heard, so if I hear similar things about Black Flag and Rogue, I'm not sure if it's worth playing a unplayable version on Switch. I don't think Ubisoft will put out an unplayable version. I want to wait and see. So we shall see. Dauntless, of course, still coming out this fall. Grid Autosport coming out this fall. Farm Simulator, the Call of, how do you say this?
Medan?
Chuplu?
Oh, Cthulhu?
Thank you. I can never say this.
Yeah, Cthulhu.
That looks creepy. Comes out October 8th. The Outer Worlds is coming to Switch. It just says coming soon, though. I don't think it's day and date with the other consoles. I'm assuming that version's going to take a little bit of work.
Ken, why would I play it if I can play it on 4K? Guys,
also,
I just don't understand.
Technically, that will be a port, because it won't come out when the other ones come out, right? So that'll be a port. So just yet another port. Why we gotta get old games? Why we gotta get old games?
God, you're getting more options. This is terrible. Why would we want this?
Devil May Cry 2 comes out next week on September 19th. Speaking of ports, Vampire from Don't Nod comes out October 29th. And then they closed it out with two games that very different crowds are excited about. First was Animal Crossing New Horizons. Couldn't care less, but they dug into a lot of details with Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Finally.
Comes out in 2020. But then, this one actually is exciting, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, which with a full HD upgrade looks really sharp compared to the old Wii and 3DS versions. Comes out also in 2020. Very excited for that one.
They reworked the character models.
They did. It looks like they used Xenoblade Chronicles 2 engine and visuals, so it looks really sharp. It looks really good. So we'll see on that one. So there you go. I flew through them at the end. What jumps out at you? Most exciting thing, each of you. Go.
I never finished Xenoblade Chronicles. I got pretty far into it. Probably a good 30 hours, but something came up, a different game, and obviously then I started playing that, and I don't remember what that was, but I did really like it. There was just definitely a lot to do in that game. It did become a little overwhelming at the point that I hit.
Yes.
And then I think, like I said, something else distracted me, so I was like, I'm going to go play that instead. And then I just never got around to finishing it. So
yeah, maybe jumping into the definitive edition of the original is your thing. What about you, Derek?
Oh, it's definitely Xenoblade Chronicles. I got 30 hours into that game. I was actually pretty close to the end and never finished it. But it's definitely one of my favorite JRPGs, and the fact that it's getting a nice little visual boost. Not 4K. But,
not enough case.
Not enough case. I just don't understand. It's a port. I don't get it. but I was excited to see that. And then also, it's Tokyo Mirage. I know those are two games that I've already played, and so I would prefer to be excited about something I haven't played. But those are two games that when the Wii U was left behind, those are two games that I wanted on the Switch. So the fact that they're announcing that makes me happy.
You know, it's crazy. Some of the most requested stuff on Switch is stuff like Super Mario Sunshine and The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD that came out on Wii U.
I think
I've heard Wonderful 101. People would love for that to be brought over. Those are all ports, and those are some of the most highly requested games. Or in the Metroid Prime trilogy, that people want that brought over.
Well,
so it is interesting to hear the balance of give us all the ports and OMG more ports. This sucks.
I mean, I think the ports are good. The Wii U was technically a failure, so put them on a system that's selling better and make more money off of it, yeah?
Well, if you look at the calendar, Nintendo is putting out so many games, and I think they are making a mistake, by the way, with all the garbage they're letting get added to the eShop. There is a ton of absolute mobile game garbage that they should not be letting in there. That being said, there is a ton to pick from all the time. A combination of brand new stuff that was previously only available on PC, that you've maybe heard about and now you can play. Stuff like Into the Breach that came out. Really, really fun game that was only PC before. And now it's on Switch, and it's fantastic. And there's going to be some ports where, hey, now you can play this on the go, and you can play it on a Nintendo system. Maybe you're just a Nintendo owner and you've always wanted to play Ori. Well, now in about 3 weeks you'll be able to play Ori.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that.
So I think they've had a good combination of let's bring back remakes and remasters of the old stuff. Let's port over something that exists elsewhere so you can now have another option to play it. And here's something brand new, but whatever. People are always going to be upset. All right, speaking of all the Ks, whether it's 4K or 8K or however many Ks it is, Derek, tell us about Gears of War 5. Or by the way, is it just called Gears 5?
Yeah, it's Gears 5 now.
Gears
it's actually 5. GOW.
So I'm looking forward to playing this week. Daniel looks forward to playing this never because it'll always be on Xbox.
Or it will be on PC, right? Or it is on
Switch.
PC?
It'll come on the Switch. Don't worry.
I'm playing it on
sure.
PC.
It'll look great on the Switch when
Absolutely.
I have it on PC. Well, I mean, I'm actually playing it mainly on PC. I did check it out on Xbox One X because I said it already on the show. I have my PC hooked up to the same TV
as my Xbox One X.
It looks amazing on the One X, but I can say I can clearly see the differences between my PC version and the One X. So that tells you how well they did on the PC version, which I was talking about. I don't know if it was in our group or another group, but then somebody, it wasn't another group, it was in that gay gamers group. But they posted like a link.
Yes, that one.
Yeah, the one where like Jesse White's like super, hey guys, just want to let you know that today is a beautiful day.
He's being a white knight.
Out. I just love it. I hate Trump, guys.
No,
I love all you guys.
He's just being nice, you jerk. That's all he's doing.
Are you saying Jesse White is being a white knight?
Oh my gosh. But I will say this, because everyone in that group, whether it's, and I won't name names, but there's a number of people who are in our group, and I kind of feel like the walls are down in every way, both in good and bad ways in our group. People say everything. But then I've seen a few folks from our group, and you already named one of them, but there's a bunch of them that just they're a little more guarded, a little more of a public personality when they're over.
Oh, I'm definitely nicer in there, but I did
you are.
on another guy.
Except for the for the moment when Jesse was like, guys, I loved this game. This was so fun. Here's some screenshots, and I really enjoyed it. And you get on there, and you're like, angry. No one cares. You're the worst. And this guy's like, wow, all he wanted to do is share how much fun he had with the game, and you just...
No, he told me I was wrong. You are in the wrong.
No, he said that you were a bully. He thought that you
called me a bully.
Yeah, he thought you were bullying our buddy Jesse, which, let's be honest, you kind of were. That's what you do all the time. But you bully in love, you know? It's what happens. So that was really, really funny. I love that kind of stuff. Okay, let's get back to Gears 5.
Yeah, let's get back to Gears. So, anyways,
Derek, I want to hear a couple things. I want to hear a couple things on Gears 5. I want to hear, of course, how it looks. I want to hear, in broad terms, what are people talking about when they say, "Wow, this is a new direction for Gears"? Is there something identifiable you could point to there? And then also, did they maintain what makes the original Gears games so fun? Is that still there? So go ahead, tell us what you think.
So I will say this: I was surprised because didn't watch anything on Gears 5. Like, I already liked all the previous Gears of War games. Like, I played all 5 of the previous ones. Yes, there's a 5th one before Gears of War 5. But, so you know what the formula is. Like, all the other ones follow a formula. They do make subtle changes, and those changes are extremely subtle. So, I did zero research on Gears of War 5. It's just one of those for me, I'm going to play day one. I'm going to play as soon as I can play, so I got the early access, everything. And I went into it just kind of expecting it to be a sequel. And it is, but the changes are a lot bigger than subtle. Like, we're not talking about, like, oh, you can aim iron sight, or you can switch hands, or something like that. We're talking, like, this is a totally different direction. So I was kind of caught off guard by it because I hadn't done any research. And I think it came out in previews that Gears of War was planning, or this 5th one was planning to be made differently and change things up. And I will say they have done that, and they've done so far. I haven't beat the game. I'm in Act 3. I believe there's 5 acts. And then each act has, I think, like 5 chapters. So I've got basically 10 chapters left. 15 chapters left. That being said, the direction that they went in is to go story heavy. And that sounds like a terrible idea for me. But I'm actually very intrigued. I'm watching the cutscenes. I'm not skipping them. I'm enjoying the acting, the voice acting. I'm enjoying the dialogue. I'm enjoying the story. In fact, Act 2 does an amazing job of, like, building up Kate's story, and then they kind of resolve it, but then that kind of pushes through on what you're going to be doing for the rest of the game. Which this game is getting praised by a lot of outlets, and then I went to GameSpot, which, Daniel, I don't know what your opinion is on GameSpot, but I absolutely hate them. Like, I think they're one of the worst. They're up there.
I don't really visit them that often anymore, to be honest.
I don't, but I went there because I went on Metacritic, and then I saw that they gave it a 7, which, again, people defend the 7 because, like, 7 is good. But when you go and read his review, it's so stupid. He's basically saying, well, Act 2 resolves Kate's story, and then it just goes into a typical Gears game, and it's like, and I can't do this without spoiling it, but the way they resolve the story for Kate is to push through the rest. So it's still about Kate, and he's basically saying, well, they basically just make it about Kate for a couple chapters, and then it's not. And it's like, no, the way they resolve Kate's story in Act 2 actually still makes it about Kate as they broaden it and make it about everybody in the Gears universe. So it was really dumb. It was an uneducated opinion, which is what is my biggest pet peeve. And then
so, like, what happens to Kate, is that still affecting the stuff that's happening after the fact? Or okay,
that's what I'm saying.
Sure.
So then, it's no longer about, like, Kate getting this thing that, and again, unless you're playing the game, you won't know what I'm talking about. But it's no longer about just Kate finding out the answer. She gets the answer in Act 2, at the end of Act 2, and that answer sets up the rest of the game. So it's still about her, but it's now everybody's involved.
That happens in games literally all the time.
All the time. Yet now it's like, oh my god, it's just a typical Gears game. Like,
I mean, okay, so what did you think about Red Dead Redemption 2? Like,
no. I don't even know. I've never seen this reviewer before, but I don't go on GameSpot a lot. So, that being said, the point is that the first 2 chapters, they really build up the mystery of Kate, and they do a really good job of it. Do I think they resolve it pretty fast? I'm gonna say yes, but here's the caveat. Act 2 is extremely long, and you can make it as long as you want. And the reason why is this is the part where Tim was asking, like, well, did they make changes? Act 2 is kind of like when you go and you're playing, what's the Uncharted that came out after 4 that was like a side
Lost
one?
Legacy.
Lost Legacy?
Yeah. Alright, so there's a part in that game where and they even do it in Uncharted 4, where it opens up. Like, it becomes
with the cheat.
It becomes like this mini open world. This is bigger. Like Gears of War 4 or Gears of War 5 kind of opens up into this mini open world. It's not, full-fledged. It's just an open map, and there are side quests and areas to discover. And it doesn't mark them all on the map. Like, it's not like, all right, here you are, you're in this area, you and your partner can just travel around and go from marker to marker. No, you travel, and the markers will appear if you find something, to let you know, hey, you're in an area that you can discover something and you can unlock new abilities or whatever. There's also the ability to upgrade. You're not upgrading your character and you're not upgrading the guns, but you're upgrading your little buddy Jack, who's like a little robot who does a lot of things for you. He helps you in combat, and he helps you outside of combat. So he's like a really important feature in the game, or a very important part of the game, and the fact that you can upgrade him and use him in combat changes combat. Does it change it completely? No, you're still playing a third-person cover-based shooter that's really arcadey. But it does change how you fight those enemies, that it feels fresh. So far they've changed the story, like how the universe is going, because they're making, and when I say that, they're making the stories more personable, but they still have that branching universe that guy was complaining about, where it's like, hey, there's still things happening outside of this one character's life. And I've already said this in past games, I hate it when the games make it just about one person when the entire universe is falling apart. Like, the thing that bothered me the most about Mass Effect 2 is like, yeah, I gotta build the morale of my teammates. So let me do these really dumb, pointless side quests for them so they'll like me. But let's forget about that the universe is, dying right now. Get over your feelings. Like, if I'm Shepard, I'm like, I don't care if you like me. You're going on this mission with me, and we're going straight to save the universe. So anyways, I don't like games that do that. But they do a good job of making it about Kate, but at the same time, they're making it about the Gears universe, and things are still happening. As far as gameplay, they're changing how you play the game while still maintaining what it is. There's another thing that they added that's kind of subtle, like, I won't say subtle, it's obvious, but it's like, it's a good change for me while other people might complain about it, and that's enemies now have like little life bars. So as you're shooting them, you can see their life dwindling down. And that's pretty cool, because there's a lot of boss battles in old Gears games where you're like, okay, well, when are you going to die? I don't know when you're going to die. Now I know I'm dwindling them down. I'm actually doing something to them, too, because there are some bosses that you fight in this game, just because you shoot at them doesn't mean you're killing them. You actually have to be either have to shoot a specific area, or you have to actually do something else to them. So there are a lot of changes. For me personally, again, I haven't beat the game, all of them are positive. Okay, everything is good. Story's good. Characters are good. I'm going to touch on the graphics in a second. Combat is good. The changes to the combat are good. The changes to the story are good. The changes to everything are really positive. It's like they finally, this is why I think Microsoft should get complimented for this. It's like they finally listened. Hey guys, why don't you make your AAA games like Sony makes theirs? And they went, okay, let's do it. And they did it with the Gears franchise. And they were like, okay, we're going to make this, we're going to take a series that, because if you remember, and I know you don't play a lot of Xbox games, Daniel, or at all, they don't change. Like, sure. They're like, Halo is Halo. Gears is Gears, and we play it safe. This is the first one where, like, I can't say that they're playing it safe. No, they're not drastically changing. It's not Gears of War 5 table tennis. Like, you're not playing table tennis. That's not your combat. But there's still, like, enough changes you could go, okay, these guys aren't playing it safe. They could really piss off a lot of their fan base right now. And they probably are going to. But for me, personally, they're not. And as far as graphics go, this is probably the prettiest game ever. It's up there. Even if you're playing on just the Xbox One X. Yes, just the Xbox One X. But PC it's mind-blowing how good this looks. I have it on ultra settings, 60 frames per second, 4K. I do not have HDR activated because I don't know how to get my PC to activate HDR. It does not read my TV screen as being HDR compatible, and I honestly don't care because it doesn't look any different than my HDR on Xbox One X. I did boot it up on PC, then boot it up on Xbox One X, and then go back to PC because I wanted to see like if I actually could see differences, and I was like, yeah, I can't. They're drastic. Like it's pretty different. Like it's significant. But that being said, Xbox One X, if you don't own a PC and you're only looking at the Xbox One X version, you're going to be impressed. This game does everything really well. So far, it's my game of the year. And that was because this year kind of sucked. I mean, Resident Evil 2 was going to win it by default just because I was like, I enjoyed Devil May Cry 5 and I enjoyed Sekiro, but they weren't game of the year for me. If this is the first one where I'm like, okay, and I haven't beat the game, but I'm like, I would love to beat this game and then play it again. That's how much fun. And when I was in Act 2, I explored the entire map. I did not sit there and go, okay, let me just go to... Because they tell you, here's your main quest. But I felt like they gave me a significant enough reason to explore. I had fun exploring. They're not, like, huge side missions. We're not talking about epic side missions. It's still, like, little areas, like little caves or whatever you explore. You get some loot, fight some enemies, and then you move on. But, yeah, I think this is one of the best Xbox One games ever. I would say one of the best Xbox exclusives ever. I think it gets up there with like your Halo, your original Halo, Halo 2, stuff like that. I think the changes are significant. That this is one where if anybody's on the fence and you own an Xbox One, get off the fence. And even Daniel, I know you won't do it because you're a cheap ass, but I'm telling you, go
this
buy.
Year I am. Okay.
Go buy an Xbox One. You don't need to buy a One X because I don't feel like you're a graphics whore. I think you appreciate a good looking game, but you're not like, I have to have the best looking game. I am. I'm graphics whore. Like I have to have the best. Like when 8K TVs get at a reasonable price, I'm gonna be like, I gotta have an 8K TV.
I saw like a 55-inch 4K HDR TV. I forget what the brand was the other day at Best Buy. It was $450. I was like, that's not expensive. Like,
no, 4K TVs,
like,
and I'm talking good ones, have dropped. And the one that I would tell you to get if you're going to get one is the TCL Series 5.
Is that the one?
$500. Well, it's the one that's equivalent to the one I got. They basically said they're the exact same quality of picture, but the TCL is actually better with all the apps and stuff they have.
Sure.
And it's $500 brand new. So if you can find it on sale, you might even get it a little cheaper or something like that. Or Walmart had it used, like a refurbished one for $400. And I was like, oh, I really want to do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so 4K TVs are getting cheap. But I would even say Gears of War 5 is a game that if somebody does not own an Xbox One and they can get an Xbox One for $100, go buy Xbox One. Go buy Gears of War 5 and play it. And then you don't even have to buy Gears of War 5. You just get the Ultimate Pass for $2, and you have the $80 version of Gears of War 5 playable for 3 months.
You hear that, Tim? $2.
$2. I'm just going to say it again. Tim, do you have $2?
No. If you could each send me one, that'd be great.
Okay, sure.
Get right.
I'll mail it to you.
But yeah, I think it's that good. I really do. And I think I might end up playing games that I put ahead of it in my game of the year. Right now, I'm sitting on top. I do think Borderlands 3 is going to come out, and I'm going to be like, Borderlands 3 is the greatest thing ever. But I don't see it sliding out of the top 5. I feel like this game is like God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn. It's that quality that once I finish it, you're going to hear like, hey guys, I decided to go back and do New Game Plus or whatever. Like, I'm going to play it again. It's going to happen.
That's a good thing, because it's reviewing well, and you're saying it's good, it's getting a lot of praise, so that's good, because I feel like 4 was the opposite, right? It did not get a lot of praise.
Well, actually, 4 got the same review scores as 5, and that's why some people were complaining. They're like, 5 is clearly better than 4, but it's getting the same scores. And And the problem with that comparison is, A, you have different reviewers. B, it's different time frames. But also, like, Gears of War 5 is a result of what Gears of War 4 was. I will say this. When I played Gears of War 4, I remember saying, this is my favorite, or it's tied with the first one. And then I went back this year and played Gears of War 4, and Gears of War 4 dropped. And I was like, this isn't as much fun as I remember it. And you could say, well, how's that going to happen with Gears of War 5? Because I remember even when I was playing Gears of War 4 the first time, the parts I didn't like became really significant the second time I played it. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. I have not experienced that. There's not been one part in Gears of War 5 where I'm like, I don't want to go through this. Like, I keep dying. This is annoying. There are hard parts. There's like one boss battle where I was like, okay, this is annoying me. But it's just fun. And they changed it up where it's like, I was expecting to go from Act 1 to Act 2 to Act 3 like quickly and be done with it. I actually expected to do this show Sunday night and tell you guys I beat the game. That was my plan. I took Friday off, and I played Friday probably 6 to 7 hours. And then Saturday I played for about 45 minutes, and today I didn't get to play at all. So I probably put 6 to 7 hours into this game, and I'm not even halfway through it. That's usually you're finishing up the campaign in 6 to 7 hours. So it's definitely, with the changes, they've made the game bigger, and they've made it longer, and even if you decide to replay it, you're not forced to play it for 12 to 13 hours because you don't have to do all the side quests if you don't want to. You can make it that 6 to 8 hour campaign by just going straight through the campaign. But yeah, I highly recommend it. I know Tim will like it. I definitely think Tim will like it more than 4.
I did like 4.
I actually think Daniel would enjoy these games. I think he would enjoy all the Gears, but I think Gears of War.
I think I've said before, whether it's in the Facebook group or even the little bit of time I've been here on the show, like, Gears is a series that I'm like, as far as like with Xbox and everything, because I don't have an Xbox, that's a series I actually would want to play, from the beginning to now. So, yeah. I mean, I'm assuming that they're
all really good. Even kind of the ugly stepchild of the group, Judgment, still a pretty fun game.
They're pretty cheap, I would assume, on like Steam or something, right?
You get Game Pass, you have access to all of them. So you just pay for...
But I'm saying if I wanted to like PC it up and play the older ones just to kind of like... I
think the only thing you can play on PC is
or not,
Gears
not
of
on
War,
Steam, right?
Gears of War 4, and Gears of War 5, and those are all on Microsoft Store. 2, 3, and Judgment are only Xbox.
Okay. That makes sense. So they had 1, and then they skipped 2, 3, Judgment. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Well, whatever.
Well, there you go. There's your initial impressions and preview of Gears 5. Comes out this Tuesday for most common folk, but for those of us who are rich enough to have $2, we can get access to it right now. So,
you can have access to it on Friday.
Yeah, but I probably wouldn't have played it. I got other stuff I'm playing.
That was me making it rain for you, Tim.
I was finishing Control. I actually thought I was going to have access on Friday, but I was like, I got to wrap up Control. I didn't finish Control till late Friday night. And... or maybe it was Saturday night. Anyway, I really wanted to wrap it up, and I knew that if I jump into a Gears third-person shooter, it's going to mess up my experience with Control. I'm not sure how much, but I know whether it's the button configuration. I'm used to looking for cover. I don't like to be playing 2 games in the same genre at the same time. It just messes me up. So anyway, I probably wouldn't have played it much this weekend. Because as soon as I finished Control, like I said, I started playing some more Switch games, but I also started watching that Amazon Prime series, The Boys, and it is crazy. It's good, though.
That's what I've heard. Did you see my girlfriend die in the first? It's made me sad.
Yeah. That was your girlfriend?
Yeah, we dated for a while.
Yeah, Robin?
You're such a floozy.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Really, really violent show, though. Like, to the point where I was like, "Oh crap!" They just showed that. That was really gory. So
make sure the kids aren't around.
It's really good. It totally flips the whole like, hey, there's a group of superheroes that are here to protect the city thing on its head. It's pretty great. Think like Watchmen meets. It's even funny too, by the way. There's some really dark humor in there too. So
yeah, it has definitely Watchmen vibes to me.
Yeah,
dark,
it's
the
got
kind of
some
dark.
I really liked the Watchmen movie. A lot of people didn't. I liked it.
But I wasn't a fan of the graphic novel, so I thought it was a pretty good movie too. I guess graphic novel fans didn't love the adaptation, but
Yeah.
anyway, The Boys is quite good, so I recommend it. All right, that wraps us up for this week. Thank you guys for staying on late. I know it's a little later than you might have wanted, so I appreciate it. Derek, thanks for the preview of Gears 5. I'm looking forward to jumping into it. Daniel, thanks for the preview of all things indie.
No problem.
And Tim, thanks so much for going over the Nintendo Direct that zero people
If I didn't do it, how would people hear about it? If I didn't.
The real question is, why are you on this show now?
I think
You're not
what
in
is that?
4K.
Is there a name for that chainsaw like type of gun that they have in Gears, or don't they have like a gun that's like a chainsaw?
Yeah, the Lancer.
The Lancer, yeah.
I wish I had a Lancer so I could just shove it in your face right now, Derek. Just shove it all up in your dumb face.
Oh, are you defending your bride, Tim?
No, this is just how we're gonna end every episode. I'm gonna say something mean.
I just like that you nicely asked Derek, what's the name of that thing? And Derek's like, oh, it's called this. You're like, oh, great, thanks. That's what I was looking for. I want to shove that in your face.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to express interest in the game that he was talking about by,
I know. I felt like you were fake. You were fake. I saw it in your eyes. I'm like, he's so fake. Where's Tim at? And Tim abandoned ship. So I'm just talking to myself about how amazing this game is. Which, by the way, that shows you how narcissistic I am because I'm able to talk to myself for a good 20 minutes.
I was listening and I asked questions.
I'm gonna have to, because I did have to step away for a bit. My wife, she took off. She had to go buy some stuff.
She took off. Okay, all right. She just left you, and you're still on the show. You are committed to the show.
I'm still doing great.
She's like,
she said it's me or the show, and I was like, let me get back to recording. No, but she thought she had gotten a couple of the kids down for bed, and then she headed over to the store. She got to get a few things before the week starts, and she did not get everyone back in bed. It was nuts out there. Babies were crying, kids were fighting. 2 kids were up on top of the entertainment unit. I was like, how did you get up there? So
2 kids were using babies as weapons, fighting each other?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like American Gladiator style?
You got it. Yeah. So anyway, I had to deal with that. So I will, as I'm editing, I'll listen to all the opinions that Derek has and all the fake questions that Daniel has. It'll be great.
Okay. Cool. I'm going to go buy that Lancer. I'm going to go buy a Lancer. And then hang out with Derek.
I'm going to buy a Lancer. I'm going to hang out with Derek. Just end the show.
This show has devolved. We're out of here. Peace.
I hate you more than Terry Bogard.
I don't even know who he is, but I'm laughing.
Okay.
Bye.
Who is your daddy? I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?